How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Joker. That's right, I'm revisiting the 2019 movie that caused a lot of debate and controversy when it first came out. This movie is directed by Todd Phillips and stars Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, and Zazie Beetz. And this explores the origin stories of Joker, or origin story of Joker, not plural. And instead of the usual origin story that we're usually told, we are introduced to Arthur Fleck, somebody who works for this clown company that's getting mistreated, not just by people on the streets, but by his coworkers. He's on medication. He has this disorder where he has these uncontrollable laughing fits. He's trying to become a comedian. And we see over the course of the movie things that happen that lead to him becoming the Joker. This movie heavily plays into the theme regarding Joker on having one bad day. In this case, he has a ton of bad days, but each bad day is playing a huge role into him eventually becoming the Joker through this movie. And by the way, warning, even though this movie has come out for 5 years, it's on streaming services, DVD, Blu ray, even on TV at times. There are going to be spoilers. I always forget to say this when I'm reviewing old movies, but spoilers will be in this video. And I remember when this movie first came out, there was a lot of debate about it on, is this movie glorifying violence? Is this movie being sympathetic to those who commit violence, that want to commit violence? And the thing is, this movie is no different from other movies who have had characters similar to Joker. And to me, this movie is more so a commentary on mental health awareness, on society itself, not just society currently or back in 2019, but society before that. I mean, this movie takes place in the 1980s. They go all out with the 1980s setting, costumes, themes, because this movie is also influenced by Martin Scorsese movies that came out in the late 70s, early 80s, particularly Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. So to me, I feel like this movie is more so not a political statement, but more so a fictional representation involving, a well-known fictional character on what could lead to someone turning this way, how society, even if it's not directly, indirectly causes it, because it's not just one person or one thing, it's a bunch of stuff. Like right at the beginning of this movie, Arthur Fleck gets jumped by these teenagers. They take the sign that he's holding up, he's chasing after them, and in an alley, he's getting beat up by them. His sign's getting broken. His boss isn't even like coming to his defense about it, despite what happened. And one of his coworkers gives him a gun for him to protect himself, but he gets in trouble with that gun when that gun accidentally falls out while he's performing for children at a hospital, which obviously he shouldn't have had the gun in the children's hospital, but his coworker doesn't even take the blame or be like, that's on me, Arthur, I apologize. He doesn't even do any of that. So it feels like things are just happening that's just putting this guy down, that's just building it up. And on one hand, you do feel bad at the beginning because, those teenagers had no right to take his sign and beat him up. His coworker did send him up to fail, even though he shouldn't have had the gun in the children's hospital in the first place. But then as the film progresses, other stuff's happening. And, there's still moments where you do kind of feel sympathetic for Arthur, especially when you look into his home life, how crazy his mom really was and how that had influenced him, because she believes that Arthur, there was a son that she had with Thomas Wayne. And then it turns out that she adopted him and her boyfriend abused him and she did nothing to stop it from happening. And all the stuff that's just happening to him, on one hand, despite, hating the people for doing this to him, you also can't defend him for killing people and harming people, which I will say, for the most part, with the killing scenes, this movie is nowhere near as violent as any of the Deadpool movies, Logan, Watchmen, any of the Blade movies, the previous R-rated comic book movies that have come out before and after this movie came out. I would really say like the film gets that first violent moment when he kills the coworker that had got him into trouble in the first place when he comes by Arthur's apartment. And oh yeah, later on when he goes on the Murray Franklin show, Robert De Niro's show, which I will say I find it interesting the casting of Robert De Niro playing the talk show host, because if you've seen King of Comedy, minor spoiler for anyone who has seen King of Comedy, he played Rupert Pumpkin, the deranged character in that movie who, like Arthur, wanted to be a comedian, but he was actually more obsessed with the comedian that he was obsessed with. Like he was more obsessed. Imagining him on the show, hosting a show, being friends with the host. Great movie. Go watch it. Like I found that to be a very interesting choice. But let me get to the casting before I keep going on with the movie. Joaquin Phoenix was incredible in this movie. This is one of the best actors out there. I loved him in Gladiator, which was the first movie that I saw him in. Gladiator is one of my favorite movies of all time. But Joaquin Phoenix does such a great job. And the thing is, like, Joker's not just all laughs in this movie. This is a man that's frustrated with society, that, is heartbroken at times in this movie, that's getting beaten down at times in this movie, that's feeling betrayed at times in this movie. He's capturing all these emotions so well. And while Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson are my favorite portrayals of this character in live action, more so Heath Ledger, Joaquin Phoenix does an incredible job and deserves the Oscar that he won in this movie. Robert De Niro also does a very good job as Murray Franklin, the talk show host, as well. Zazie Beetz plays this woman that Arthur is infatuated with, and at first you think they're together, but then it turns out to be something that Arthur's imagining. And it's later revealed later in the movie when he goes into her apartment, she's very stunned to see him in there. And I know for a while there was a debate, like, after he left the apartment, did he do something to her? Did he not? It was later revealed that he didn't do anything to her. But even before that was revealed, like the film got you thinking, like, oh wow, did he do something to this poor woman and her child that was in the other room? And I must say, the way they also go about with Thomas Wayne in this movie, it was very interesting because I know there's some comics that have portrayed him, and I know the recent the Batman movie also showed a different side of Thomas Wayne than what we're used to, but they go all out in portraying Thomas Wayne as this snobbish, arrogant, elitist businessman that wants to be a politician. And he's another key contributor to Arthur Fleck's turn into Joker, because after these people that Arthur kills earlier in the movie, after he kills them, he goes on TV and he refers to some of the lower classmen of Gotham City as clowns, and people take offense to that, and it starts a movement. And it's really reminiscent of the culture of modern day, where people who are going for office are insult a certain group of people, and people take offense to that, and they go out and protest and start their own movements, which I guess brings in the question as to is this movie going to spark violence, or is it going to glorify violence or whatever? But yeah, there's also this plot line where Arthur Fleck may he or may he not be Thomas Wayne's son with this woman, which at first almost rubbed me off the wrong way, because I was like, wait, we're going to make Joker be the older brother of Bruce Wayne? But then it's revealed that Arthur Fleck's mom is delusional. And so obviously the transformation of Joker happens, and it looks great. The costume for Joker looks fantastic. I also love the 1980s music that is also going along with Joker's transformation. You had the iconic scene where he's dancing on those steps, and things get more hectic before he goes on Murray's show. These two cops are investigating him possibly being tied to those murders, which he is obviously, but they don't know it yet. And one of the officers shooting one of the Joker protesters on the subway, and those two detectives just getting beaten by the workers, and then you have what happens on the show, and you really see it coming to fruition, especially because you think Joker's going to kill himself on live TV because he's practicing it. We're seeing him practice it, but then when his talk with Murray to me is one of the most powerful that I've seen in a comic book movie, because we still consider this a comic book movie despite having a Scorsese feel to it, taking influence from other Scorsese movies. His monologue is powerful, and it's a reminder that we can't defend his actions since what he's doing is wrong, what he has done is wrong, what he's about to do is wrong. But you feel like society has just let this guy down, and he even says it. Like, society let this person down, and this is what happens when society does that. And I feel like that's an important message that is really hammered in this movie. And so he kills Murray, doesn't kill himself though. And then we see, the chaos that's happening in the streets of Gotham. And man, Gotham City, whether it's in this universe, the Tim Burton universe, the Nolan universe, um, DCEU, Matt Reeves universe, any universe, Gotham City is just messed up. We see how this movement also sparks the killing of the Waynes in this movie. And yeah, this is a much more powerful movie than I remember it being, than I think it was meant to be at times. Is it a perfect movie? No. I think a lot of the themes that it borrowed from Martin Scorsese did a lot better. Taxi Driver, a movie that I had seen for the first time right before I saw this in theaters, did a lot of the themes involving its character and like how society contributes to that character's actions a lot better. I think King of Comedy did the relationship of an aspiring comedian who is deranged looking up to a more successful comedian that's a lot more elitist compared to him. I also feel like some of the stuff with Thomas Wayne and all that, while it is promising and I have no problem with it, there's going to be some people that are going to be conflicted because most people are used to Thomas Wayne being like the Thomas Wayne, the Dark Knight trilogy that's helping Gotham. But I feel like the Batman has also, with how it handled Thomas Wayne, has done a better job of making people more comfortable with what they did with Thomas Wayne in Joker. In fact, I know for a while, I maybe some people don't remember this, but I know for a time there were a lot of people that thought maybe Joker should be like a prequel to Matt Reeves' The Batman. And I don't know how I would have felt if they did that. Obviously, they didn't, which thank goodness, because I don't think they needed to. The score was excellent in this movie. And overall, I think this is a great movie. It's just a very uncomfortable movie to watch at times. But I think a lot of people should remember this wasn't the first, nor this is going to be the last movie that its main character is a psychopath that kills people. I mean, if you gotta remember, 19 years before this movie came out, American Psycho starring Christian Bale came out with Patrick Bateman, an excellent movie whose main character is a deranged psychopath, sociopath that kills people, that's also imagining a lot of stuff, who has like these dark visions involving women. And yet American Psycho didn't spark a movement in the way that I think people feared about Joker. Scorsese, who again whose movies influenced a lot of what happened in this movie. A lot of his main characters are not pure souls themselves. Taxi Driver, for example, that's one. Rupert Pumpkin in King of Comedy, another one. Like, we're always gonna have those movie characters that, even if they're the main character, they can be a horrible person, or they may not start off as horrible, but certain things happen that turn them into a horrible person. I just feel like where we were in 2019 and where we still are had installed that fear in regards to society. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case because this Joker is a movie based off a popular DC villain in a popular DC series Batman. But overall, with Joker, This is still a great movie. I feel like this is a movie that got me thinking after I saw it in theaters and still gets me thinking the times I've rewatched it since then, which has been quite often. And I've at that point in my life where yeah, I love watching enjoyable comic book movies that have a ton of action and great stuff. Deadpool and Wolverine, which came out this year, I had a great time with. I love that movie. But I also like having those movies that aren't all about action, but all about character study that go deep into a character's psyche and the things that happen that influence that character. So for me, while Joker may not be the most rewatchable comic book movie based on the stuff that happens in this movie, the themes that are uncomfortable and dark, I still think it's a great movie. Although Scorsese did a lot of this stuff much better, but Todd Phillips made an excellent movie. And I'm going to give Joker an A. I think this is a movie that's worth watching. It's not going to be for everyone. In fact, even if you're someone that's into R-rated comic book movies, there might be some things that might be uncomfortable in this movie for you to watch. You might be more better off watching a more enjoyable movie like Deadpool that has a lot of action, a lot of inappropriate stuff, but it is more enjoyable. But yeah, Joker to me is a great movie. And while I don't think this upcoming Joker movie is necessary, I am curious to see what they're going to do with this character's story, especially after rewatching this movie. But yes, Joker, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what's one of your favorite comic book? No, that's not the question. I don't even know what question to ask about involving this movie. What's your favorite version of Joker? That's what I'm gonna go with. Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already. If you haven't, please share this with someone that loves DC, that loves the Joker. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.